I listened with great interest, Madam Deputy Speaker, to what Mr Hanson said, and I didn't want to delve particularly into the pill testing side of this debate because it wasn't the central reason I brought this motion forward. The central reason I brought this motion forward was to talk about decriminalisation, which is, I think, a very important topic. But it is important to reflect that in a decriminalisation model, there will always be questions about the substance. In a decriminalisation model, we are inherently reliant on organised criminal gangs and their supply chains, bikies making terrible substances in bathtubs. So there will always be a question over the substance, which is where pill testing comes into it. Because we all know that people right now in our community are using these substances, these terrible pills and substances cooked up in the dingiest of circumstances. These are getting consumed right now. And they're getting consumed with no questions asked. Overwhelmingly, when people choose to consume these substances, they're probably doing it off the recommendation of a friend, saying, yeah, that guy seemed all right. Last time I got something off him, nothing went wrong. So what could go wrong this time? That's a terrible way for people who are trying to make decisions about their health. So I think it's important that we give people, overwhelmingly young people, the ability to ascertain more information. And let's be very clear what that information is. That information isn't a big green tick saying this pill's good to go, mate, you're going to have a cracking time. It's information that says this is what this substance will do to you. It outlines the risks and it talks about often the deadly additive substances that are laced into these concoctions. So I think it is very important that those that continue to try and undermine pill testing actually stop and reflect that potentially they are causing harm by continuing to resist this change. Now, I think it's important that we recognise that when we talk about a music festival, when we consider some of the more common circumstances in which young people, overwhelmingly young people, are using these substances, they've already made the decision that they want to consume drugs. They've already got money out of the ATM. They've already lined up a text message to someone they know they can get their hands on some drugs. They've made a decision to consume drugs. Now, we as legislators can do something to try and put one last check in before that person consumes that substance. And that can be pill testing. And I think we have a responsibility to introduce that in as many instances as is reasonable. Now, more pertinent to why I did tend to rise, which was in closing, I would like to thank all of the members that have contributed to this debate. It has been, I think, a sensible debate, and I think it is very revealing of where this Assembly has moved to. That all three parties could talk in such ways about harm minimisation and decriminalisation of these illicit substances is, I think, very telling about the future of ACT politics. And that gives me some hope. Now, when you think about decriminalisation and those in the community that would say this is a radical proposition, it's not. If you look at the approval rating for decriminalising ecstasy, it's got high levels of support that the Labor Party and Liberal Party combined. This is not radical, this is common sense, and the community supports it. That is why I'm so encouraged today that we have all come together to support this motion. Now, there are many people in the community that will attack members in this place that have raised this as an issue. I've spoken in favour of this issue, and I have no doubt that people will seek to use this as political ammunition in the coming weeks. But this is not a minor or fringe issue. 11.2% of us have used ecstasy in our lifetime. They are all criminals. 9% of us have used cocaine. They are criminals. And 6.3% of us have used meth or an amphetamine. They are all criminals. And it's time that our laws reflect our values, which is why I support the decriminalisation of these substances and Canberra taking the next sensible step.